Hey folks, I'm Cord Howell. Welcome to our live broadcast here on Wednesday night. And this is going to be a little different. The studio is a little under construction. And I'm going to go over, it's been 3 years since we did our crowdfunding campaign for the original Mayberry Man movie. So in case you're new around here, Mayberry Man is a feature film independently produced with the crowd providing the funds. And so we did a Kickstarter that was in its final days 3 years ago this month. So I wanted to go back and look at what we did during that final 10-day period as we tried to reach our goal. And I think if you were around for that campaign, you'll enjoy going back and looking at what we did there. And if you're new around here and just stumbled onto this video because you're trying to crowdfund your own film, I think you'll pick up some tips. So we're going to just get right into it. And again, my name is Cord Howell. Mayberry Man is a feature film that was written and directed by my brother Stark Howell, and it's inspired by the Andy Griffith Show. So what we did is we had a mailing list that we generated during the audience building phase of our crowdfunding efforts. So we had a list. We were emailing people regularly. We had team members on our team that were sharing about Mayberry Man and all this. This was all just a concept, and we were in the crowdfunding phase. So we did a Kickstarter campaign, and by the way, I am calling this a face in the crowd because we're talking about crowdfunding, and so. We've done multiple campaigns now. We did Mayberry Man, the movie, and then we did Mayberry Man, the series, which is currently in post-production. Mayberry Man, the movie, we raised $151,000 on Kickstarter. So that puts us in a really select group of crowdfunders for independent film. So we were excited about that. We also did some pre-launch crowdfunding for that campaign and some finishing funds. So probably close to $250,000 were raised from the crowd for Mayberry Man, the movie. And then more recently, we've spun the movie off into a series where we did an Indiegogo campaign, and we didn't do quite as much money on the crowdfunding portion because we also did sort of a hybrid with private investment. So some of our big backers from the movie became investors in the series. And then for anyone who's just finding out about what we're doing, we created a secondary Indiegogo campaign, which is active right now on Indiegogo. So it's not too late to get involved and support us. We would appreciate it. But just to kind of update you where we're at is Mayberry Man, the feature film. We originally released it ourselves, and then we got distribution, and that is now available all over the place, streaming for rent and purchase. And, it's doing great. In fact, it was just nominated for a Crown Award through the International Christian Visual Media organization. And so we're a finalist there for Best Comedy. So we're excited about that. And so let me go back and talk about what we did in our final 10 days of our Kickstarter campaign originally. And this came up in my Facebook feed and one of these Facebook memories. And I'm like, oh yeah, that was some pretty interesting stuff. So I thought we might go over it again, and I think you would enjoy it. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to remind people why they should support Mayberry Man, why we're doing it and all that. So we tried to have some fun with it, tell some stories, and make it relevant. So I'm just going to go right into that. And so this was like day one of 10 days, of the final 10 days. So, the next 10 days are going to be filled with Mayberry excitement as we wrap up our Kickstarter campaign on February 29th. That's right, it was a leap year. And so we kind of talked about, so what was the idea behind the movie? There's our father, Hoke Howell, who played Dud Wash, doing his famous guerrilla warfare bit. And we kind of talked about, our father and his connection to the Andy Griffith Show. There's him acting crazy as he typically did. and he was Dud Wash, the original Dud Wash. And so reason number one to support Mayberry Man was to pay tribute to all of the wonderful actors, writers, producers, and crew members who came together to create the best television series ever made. Arguably, I think there's a pretty good case for that. And so that was a fun way for us to kind of remind people, who we were, and then tie it into why they should support Mayberry Man. So then we'll go to day two. Oh, and then at the end of each of these emails, we would kind of tease what we were doing. So tomorrow, look for reason number two. This first letter was from Stark Howell, my brother. Tomorrow, look for number two, Court. How Court one day found himself holding a 12-foot albino Burmese python with Rance Howard, Ron Howard's dad. So hopefully people, read this and then opened our email the next day. Let's see what that's all about. And sure enough, there I am with Rance Howard, and we've got this giant python. And what this was from an independent film, the first one I did years ago, back in 2011. And Rance Howard and Clint Howard were nice enough to come out and do cameos in it. And so there's me and Clint when we screened the movie at a horror festival or a horror convention. And we had a packed house, 700 plus people, and it was pretty well received. And so reason number two to back Mayberry Man was making a movie will be a new and exciting experience for you. So I think we proved that out. I've heard it from so many people that participated, and I think it's a great reason. If you're thinking of supporting a film, crowdfunding, whatever, it's just a great opportunity to do something you probably never would have a chance to do otherwise. So that was exciting for people to do it on the Mayberry Man movie, and also now on the series. So that was day two, second reason. And then, tomorrow we find out how a 1995 radio broadcast from Bradford, Ohio may have led to the making of Mayberry Man. So let's see what that was about. And sure enough, I go on to tell my story of how I found Alan Newsom and the Two Chairs No Waiting podcast. So every once in a while I would Google my dad's name, Hoke Howell, and I came across this video of him being interviewed for some radio show, and it was on Alan Newsom's podcast. And there's Alan with my father. He played Dud Wash, so he would autograph Milk Duds. And there's the Milk Duds carton with that Alan still has. And so Alan, this was, I was noticing it was episode number 296. Well, Alan's up to over 700 episodes of Two Chairs No Waiting, so go check that out. But so then reason number three was as a tribute to the tribute artists who worked so hard entertaining us at the Mayberry festivals. And that really was a big motivation. Some people asked about the Mayberry Man movie and, why is there no Andy, or, why is there no, certain characters? And it's like, well, it was written around the tribute artists who entertain regularly at these festivals. So so that was another great reason. And when you're crowdfunding, you got to remind people, it's kind of like, I was talking about this the other day, and it's kind of like Valentine's Day. And, it's a good reminder to let someone know that you love them, right? And so in the same thing, when you're trying to rally support for a project, you got to remind them why they're important, why this is important, and why they should get involved. So that was reason number three, was to pay tribute to the tribute artists. And so then we tease tomorrow's letter, and tomorrow we'll talk about reason number four, which has absolutely nothing to do with the Andy Griffith Show. So I don't even remember what that is. So let's go check it out. Aha. So here we talked about the idea of how Hollywood is not a fan of G-rated films. And so that was a question we would get a lot. It's like, what's the rating on this going to be? Well, it's the Andy Griffith Show, so it's going to be, family friendly, and so, and there's proof that Hollywood will put in profanity just to avoid getting a G rating, and which is a terrible thing. So, I talked about looking back at some of our favorite films and Incredible Mr. Limpet and the old Jerry Lewis movies and all this. I mean, they were all G rated, right? And they were very enjoyable. And so that was what we wanted to do with Mayberry Man, was create a family-friendly film. And so reason number 4 was to support the creation of high-quality G-rated family movies with a positive message. Again, there's so many reasons for people to support a project like Mayberry Man. So we wanted to just recap all of them for folks. And then let's see, tomorrow we will tell you why you want to own a copy of the Mayberry Man movie. So that's interesting. Let's go check what that's all about. And so here in this one, we talk about Easter eggs. And if you're not familiar with the term Easter egg, we did a little research, and it was actually a term coined relative to video games. Back in 1979, the director of software development at Atari, I had one of those Atari games, described it to use a hidden message in one of their video games. And so then in the film business, Easter eggs have predated that term, but I gave an example of Alfred Hitchcock. He always put himself in his films, right? And so that's kind of an Easter egg. And so even in the Andy Griffith Show, there are Easter eggs, whether they were intentional or not. Like in A Black Day for Mayberry, Barney picks up the phone book, when the G-men are waiting there, and one of the G-men was played by Rance Howard, Opie's real-life dad. And if you zoom in, you can see that it is actually a Mount Airy telephone book, which is Andy Griffith's hometown. So there's lots of fun things like that within the Andy Griffith Show. And so Stark's plan was to include a lot of that kind of stuff in the film. So reason number 5 was to make a movie filled with Easter eggs that pay tribute to the Andy Griffith Show, making it fun to watch over and over again. So that's why you would want to own your own copy. And I think we demonstrated that pretty well, that there are a lot of Easter eggs in this film. And if you haven't found them all, you're not alone. We haven't even found them all. There's some that were even unintended. So that's a great reason to own a film. And so again, if someone's making a film, there's always this argument about, do you really, DVDs are dead or whatever. A lot of people have purchased DVDs. They want to own a copy, a physical copy, and you can own a streaming copy as well. But go back and watch it, and you'll just find new things every time you watch Mayberry Man. And so then in the next letter that we tease, tomorrow we'll take an inside look at the making of the Andy Griffith Show. That will change the way you view it forever. It's quite a promise. So let's take a look. And so where do we leave off here? Reason number 5. So now we're going to reason number 6 to support Mayberry Man. And if you haven't, if you weren't around for our Kickstarter project, it was quite an undertaking, and we built up a team. We had lots of team members that were out there sharing, and referral contests, and people were earning badges, and there was all these sort of incentives, and we were throwing everything at the wall to see what would stick. So we couldn't have done it without the crowd, helping us. So the idea here is when I was talking about, once we started working on Mayberry Man, I really started looking at the Andy Griffith Show differently, and looking at sort of the craftsmanship that went into the show. I mean, when you think back, they were shooting on film. I don't even think they had video taps necessarily at that time, where you could see what you're filming. It's a film camera. You develop the film, and then you see what you got. And you look at the excellence with which they were able to produce that show. And, a lot of people don't realize it. The interiors were shot at Desilu lot, on Cahuenga in Hollywood. And then the exteriors were shot at the old 40 acres lot in Culver City. So 7 miles apart. different days, probably, someone's outside and then they walk through a door and they're coming inside. It's seamless. It's really impressive what they're able to do for the period. And then I shared some pictures I actually filmed a show at the Desilu lot, now called Red Studios, and spent probably 2.5 weeks on that lot. And it's kind of fun to be on that lot just because it's kind of stuck in time. The structure, the buildings, and it feels very old Hollywood. But you can see, we wanted to let people know that we weren't new to production. When people are crowdfunding films, it's like, well, who are these folks? Do they have the experience? Do they have what it takes to deliver a quality product? And so telling this story was kind of let people know, yeah, we've been doing this for a while. My brother and I both have decades and decades of experience. And so reason number 6 that we gave folks was to make a high quality movie that meets the standard set by the Andy Griffith Show. And I think we accomplished that. If you've seen the film on the big screen, especially, I think we achieved that goal, and hopefully people are proud to have supported it. So at the end of this, we tease that we'll reveal a chain of events that how one actor ended up on Gomer Pyle USMC even before he was in the Andy Griffith Show. So let's skip ahead to that. And if you don't know where I'm headed with that, it is actually an email letter that went out from Greg Shell, who's a co-producer on the project, and it's about his dad, Ronnie. And we kind of talk about Ronnie's history in Hollywood and how he appeared on the Andy Griffith Show, but he actually didn't appear on the Andy Griffith until after he did Gomer Pyle. So I thought that was kind of an interesting chain of events. And we talk about Ronnie's long history with Jim Nabors and Don Knotts and all these folks. And so reason number 7 was to put the beloved stars of the Andy Griffith Show back in front of the camera in a town called Mayberry. Now, unfortunately, for the movie, so when we're wrapping up, now this is 3 years ago, February of 2020, when we're kind of wrapping up our crowdfunding campaign. And if you recall, it was about mid-March 2020 is when the pandemic hit and everything changed, right? Totally different world. And so because of the COVID, a lot of those older stars were not able to participate in the film. But the good news is Ronnie did make it into the series. And so we finally got to get him back into Mayberry, and that was a lot of fun. So we're looking forward to sharing that. And then while we were kind of working towards our goal, I think we had hit our original 100,000 goal, and then we announced some stretch goals. And one of those stretch goals was a Mayberry Man baseball cap. So those, I think, came out great. And basically a stretch goal was one that, everybody gets this reward at a certain backer level. I think it was the Briscoe levels, like $50 or higher. So if we reach our stretch goal, which was 150,000, everybody at that level and above would get a Mayberry Man hat. So that was a pretty cool, fun goal. And, as I already shared, we did 151,000. So we barely made it, but it worked. So we kind of teased the hat incentive and not what's happening tomorrow. So let's go see what tomorrow's about. So, okay. So then I share a story about my experience being on a film set. And in 1977, my father, Hoke Howell, Dud Wash, was in Ron Howard's first movie as a director, Grand Theft Auto. And he pulled me out of school. It was 1977. And I got to hang out on the set for a couple of days when they're filming the big demolition derby. A lot of fun. There's an autographed photo from Ron saying thanks for the help. And I even got to be in a scene with my dad. There's my dad playing the preacher, and I'm in the background getting walked through by the cops. I asked Ron, what's going on? Why would I be getting arrested? I'm just some kid. And he's like, no, you were acting up and throwing rocks. And so that was my motivation. And I remember being on set, and I was so impressed with all the stunts and the cars crashing and exploding and all this good stuff. I remember saying to Ron, it's like, you're going to win an Academy Award. Well, it didn't happen for Grand Theft Auto, but he did win an Academy Award or two. So I wasn't too far off. So anyway, the tie-in here was reason number 8 was you can be part of a movie production that forever connects you to the Andy Griffith Show. And I think we've heard this back from a lot of people that, they're part of the lore. They're not just fans anymore. They're now part of Mayberry history. And I think that was pretty special. That was what we were hoping to do. And I think we really delivered on that. And those folks who participated in the film, a lot of them came back and did the series as well, and even kind of upped their participation. So I think it's special for Mayberry fans to be able to be part of Mayberry history. So again, just so many reasons for people to support a project like this. And I'm not just saying this for Mayberry Man. It could be any project. The key is letting people know and reminding them. It's a little bit salesy, I guess, but at the same time, if you don't mention it, people aren't going to think about it. So so things were really, heating up. We're kind of, reason number 8. Let's skip ahead to reason number 9. And on this one, we talked about Earl Hagen. Now, Laura Hagen was married to Earl Hagen, and she has been a big supporter of Mayberry Man, all things Mayberry Man, and she just wants to get Earl's music heard. And she was so generous to provide his music from the Andy Griffith Show to the project. So that's what this is about. There's Earl and Andy. There's Laura and Earl. And, she contributed it, and it was really virtually no cost to us to use that. We actually re-recorded it with our composer, Brett Perry, who did a fantastic job. And so you hear some of the familiar tunes like Mayberry March, which is kind of Barney's theme. And I'm sorry, that's Manhunt. Mayberry March is more like whenever the townspeople are doing something, there's always this Mayberry March song. And so reason number 9 was to hear the wonderful music of Earl Hagen and the Andy Griffith Show featured in a new movie about Mayberry. And again, if you haven't seen the movie, I would say just watch it and listen. Brett did a wonderful job with the music. And even on our YouTube channel, the Mayberry Man YouTube channel, you can just listen to the different tracks from the film. And came out great, and we're forever grateful to Laura for providing that music, and she's offered to do the same for the Mayberry Man series. So, reason number 9, and now we'll go to reason number 10, and this is basically a recap of all the reasons we talked about on previous days, and then, of course, reason number 10 is our Kickstarter was ending the next day. So that was a pretty good reason to support Mayberry Man. So hopefully I had forgotten about this until I saw it in my memories. And so I thought you guys would enjoy it. I thought anybody that's, thinking about crowdfunding or how to go about that, this was just a really good idea. I don't think it was my idea. I think I picked this up from some of the research, but it's just tell stories and let people know why it's important. And so I think that really came out well. So the comment section here has kind of been blowing up, and I'm flying solo tonight, so I'm just been yammering and yammering here. So let me see if you have any questions about that process. When we went through the Kickstarter, throw them in the comments, and we can talk about it. It's been 3 years since we did that fundraising campaign, and then we went through it again with the series, which we did a little differently. Like I said, it was kind of a hybrid between crowdfunding and investors because it was a bigger budget. We needed some of that private investment to pull it off, but we think we got a great product. We're currently in post-production. And we've got one more shoot day to do, and the shoot date's up in the air at the moment. But everything's looking good. We're excited about what we have in the can, as they say, and you know, we're just working on the editing and post-production. So one thing I would say is, again, we could still use help. So like I said, we have that existing campaign on Indiegogo. It's the Mayberry Man series, the series 2 campaign, because it's the second campaign that we started to keep it open for folks to contribute. And we definitely have added expenses that were not anticipated, particularly in post-production. So if you want to go and just kick in a little extra help, it's always appreciated. Certainly no obligation if you're already supported, but we always appreciate that. And we have ongoing expenses, and we're sort of in that long haul to the finish line now. And all your support is greatly appreciated. And if there's like maybe new perks or something that you might think of that you would like us to offer, let us know. And you can always email me at court@mayberryman.com. And if we can come up with something interesting that makes sense, we will be happy to offer that. Right at the moment, I have a lot of extra copies of the shooting script. So at some point, we want to offer those up for people. The challenge there is the cost of shipping them out and that sort of thing. So maybe there'll be an opportunity to share those with folks. All right, so let me take a quick look here at the questions. So someone asked if we had any feedback from Ron Howard about the movie, and we really haven't. It's not, unfortunately, like the only time I talk to Ron is at funerals these days, it seems, but not exactly the time to be pitching your movie ideas and things like that. But I have not heard anything back. I'm not sure if Stark has, but he's a busy guy, and I'm sure he's got lots of things to watch that take priority over Mayberry Man. I see folks in the chat room here that participated in the filming. We're so glad you did. Hopefully that experience was fantastic for you. And I see Alan Newsom is really good in the chat here, answering your questions. So that's awesome. So I'm going to wrap it up, but before I do, I'm just going to remind people that Mayberry Man was a great success. I mean, when you look back at crowdfunding, it was just an idea. Most people didn't know who we were, and we went out and raised, well, eventually combined with our various fundraisers, over $200,000. And then we came back and we did another crowdfund for the series. And but most importantly, we put a film out that we could be proud of, hopefully that you're proud of and enjoy. And so we're just excited about that. So I appreciate you joining me tonight, and we will see you next time right here on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you're watching this. Thanks.